Hi, and welcome to Classic Advice. My name is Scarlett Classic, your host. Welcome to those of you that are new and old. On this podcast, I share stories from my life to draw lessons from them to encourage self-improvement for a happier, more fulfilling life. Rock bottom. I wanted to touch on it this week because it's something that I've experienced, unfortunately, a couple of times. Lucky me, eh? Yeah. I went through it once when I went through my divorce and found myself a single mother with two really young boys to look after. And looking back on that time of my life, I consider it me hitting rock bottom because I was in shock. I was so incredibly shocked that I found myself in that position when I thought that could never possibly ever happen to me. That it just was so surprising to find myself in that situation, and I was really scared in how on earth was I going to ever get through this and recover from it. That was one time. And I remember I fell into a bit of a depression, but it wasn't super severe. My two young kids were relying on me, and they played a big part in keeping me strong because I wasn't just doing it for myself, I was doing it for them and figuring out how to get through life. And as I went through that journey, I realized that I could do it and that I could be a single parent and I could provide for my family, and life wasn't going to be as bad as I initially thought, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. That was one of the times that I think I just got hit with something that was so unexpected that it took the wind out of my sails. Now, maybe some of you would consider that rock bottom, maybe not, but it was a very challenging time that I went through. The second time that it comes to mind is fast forward about 5 years from that, and I got hit with depression really hard. I went to therapy and I was talking to my therapist. I didn't understand why I was going through the depression now because my life as it was actually really, really good. I was with Roy at that point. Our relationship is really healthy. We get along really great. We complement each other. We help each other grow. It was a safe environment. My therapist told me that because I had been in survival mode for so long and that now I was in safety, I was starting to relax. And because I was starting to relax, I was starting to feel all the things that I had buried before. And that's what triggered my depression, even though in the moment, there wasn't anything that really merited me being depressed about. But there was years of pent up emotion that I had not dealt with and I didn't process. That's why I'm such a big believer in processing and just sitting with your emotions and letting your kids be bored, because boredom makes you deal with your thoughts that you never have time to process when you're constantly on your phone or working or going and about our busy lives. I was just talking to a very dear friend of mine, Kevin Palmieri. Shout out to you, buddy, today, and he was asking me how it was going, and I was telling him, and then I realized I was like, that's not even half of what I'm going through, and I'm so incredibly busy. No wonder I'm, tired. I'm not burnt out anymore, but I'm tired at the end of the day. Well, obviously, when we have busy lives, learning to sit and stop for just a moment from that crazy busyness that we all seem to get caught up in and sit and process our emotions can help prevent that depression. If I had processed my emotions while I was dealing with them as the years went on, I don't think I would have got as depressed as I was. Now, fast forward to present day, I've noticed that because I'm so hyper aware of how important processing my emotions is, and I try to practice mindfulness, like being in the present moment, just in the moment. I just got in, for example, I just came in from being outside. It's an absolute gorgeous day here in Alberta right now. The snow isn't quite all gone, but it's nearly gone. So the yard's kind of gross, but it's so beautiful out. The sun is shining. It's really warm out. And I just sat on the front porch for a bit, and I just was in the moment. I watched the squirrel run around. I watched my dogs watch the squirrel run around. I was very impressed they didn't chase it. They were being good girls. And just being in the moment. That's what mindfulness is. And I try to do it on a daily basis. That helps me process my emotions when I take time out of my day to just be and not distract my mind with my phone or TV or a good book because I'm an avid reader, or just the busy lives that we get into. And when I do feel upset or sad, I let myself feel the feelings. I don't push it away and bury it like I used to. That's how I help prevent myself from sinking back into depression and hitting another rock bottom emotionally. But how do we help someone else? What do we do when we see someone in our lives and you're watching from the outside and you can see the path that they're on and you can see where they're headed, whether it be rock bottom or whether it just be a bad road that's going to cause them pain, and we don't want our loved ones to feel pain. We want to stop them. We want to be there for them. How do we be there for someone else? How do you deal with your rock bottoms? Maybe it wasn't depression for you. Maybe it was that terrible divorce like I was mentioning, or maybe it was alcohol or drug abuse, or it could be a million things that make us sink low. It could be losing our home. Right? There's so many different bad things that can happen to us. How do you cope with it? And then how do we be there for somebody else that's traveling towards the pit and we don't want them to fall in it? I was talking to a friend of mine about this very subject and really struggling because they can see someone and they've recommended all these different things and they're just so frustrated with this person because they won't listen to anything that they have to say, and they're just doing whatever they are going to do anyways. I know when I was going through my emotional pain and I was at my lowest and I hit my personal rock bottom, in both cases, I really just needed someone to be there, to tell me that I was strong enough and that I was going to get through it because we were going to get through it together. I think it's important to also remember that you can offer to be there for someone. You can offer to help someone. You can offer to just be an emotional shoulder to cry on and support and tell the person, hey, we're going to get through this together and I'm here for you. But until that person gets up and picks up their baggage, so to speak, or their backpack, and they start hiking down the path to make themselves better, we can't carry them. Just like no one could carry me when I was going through my stuff, I had to do the hard work. I had to go to therapy with the mindset of, I'm here to do the work and I'm here to get better and I will do anything I can. I will do everything in my power to get better. People that don't want to be helped or people that don't want help, I don't think can be helped. And I know that is maybe not something that we want to hear, because it's painful to see people that when we do offer our help and they slap our hand away or say no and they just carry on their merry way. Sometimes people need to hit their rock bottom before they're willing to get the help. From what I've seen. It's painful and it hurts. But we can't walk their journey for them. We can only walk the journey with them. I hope that makes sense. So to wrap it up, make yourself available for the people around you. Just be there. Just let them know that you're there. And just sit and listen if that's what they need. Maybe they don't want your advice. Maybe they just want you to listen. And something that people do is we listen to reply instead of just listening to really hear what the other person has to say. And when you do sit down and have chats, keep that in the back of your head, in my head, to just be there. Walk with them, not for them. And if it is you that is going through the rough patch, through you've hit your rock bottom, don't be scared to ask for help, whether that's professional help, whether that's taking your friend up on their offer. That leads us into the challenge of the week this week. I challenge you to not give up on yourself or your friends that are going through hard times. You can do this. You got this. The second part of my challenge, to quote my dear friend JJ down in Maine, is to please pause, take that moment to process your emotions, love yourself. Love yourself enough to take a break from time to time and breathe and feel and be aware of your ripple. We all have a ripple in life. Let's make that a positive one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. My listeners are the best. You guys are awesome. Stay classic, you guys. As always, I would love to hear from you. My website is classicchronicles.ca. Have an awesome week, you guys. Till next time. Bye.